I'm Sharon.
And I'm Steve. And
welcome to Freedom Adventures. Get a good picture of him. All I can see is his butt. Got an elk down there.
Human footprints may take many more decades to heal. The National Park.
We are at the Holtzworth Historic Site. This is the surrounding area. Let's go find out what this is all about. Looks like there's a log cabin up there. So it says here, this miner's cabin is one of the oldest buildings left standing in the Kawanichi Valley. In 1902, Joseph Leschutz homesteaded 160 acres here. The intent to live on the land for at least 5 years. Life must have been hard. In 1911, he abruptly abandoned his cabin and was not heard from again.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
How come it's not open?
Oh, it was closed because they had to put a new roof on it.
Ah.
And they just got the roof done, but it had some animals in it in the winter, so it needs to be cleaned out.
Cleaned out.
Damn animals?
Maybe one or two, right?
But you can peek in the windows. It's a one-room cabin.
Yeah.
The man came up here and he built it with his horse, and the horse even got to stay in the back in the winter time because he had no other place to put the horse.
Oh, really?
So there's not much in there. There's a stove, a wood
This
stove.
original building?
Yeah, it was built in 1902.
Wow, it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I can imagine it had to have been very hard living out here.
It was
I'd
very
love to
hard,
do
and so
that,
he came and he did the homestead thing, and he got the deed after 5 years
Right.
and started paying taxes. But when he originally came, he thought he was going to do mining, and
Okay.
there wasn't any mining here, so
Okay.
there was very little for him to make any money,
Right.
and so he ended up leaving after 4 years.
All right.
And just abandoning it.
Wow.
And then eventually it was sold to Mr. Holtzworth, who had the guest ranch across the way.
Right.
Mr. Holtzworth's family was very successful. They came, first of all, 15 years later. And I believe that it was probably easier to get supplies or help from people in Grand Lake than
Okay.
it was 15 years earlier.
Right.
And plus, Mr. Holtzworth had been up here and worked in the area and kind of knew what he was getting into. And they had lived in Denver and had businesses, so they had money saved, and they were able to buy equipment like wagons and draft horses and things that they could use to do work.
Okay.
And so they were able to come up and start building a ranch. And after doing that for a few years, they saw how hard it was. They decided to do a guest ranch. And it's very interesting, but you know, they had their friends coming up from Denver, and their friends would say, well, we're on vacation and we're going to camp out here at your house, but we want you to feed us 3 meals a day, and we want the son to take us on a horseback rides and, you know,
Right.
catch fish for us and all kinds of things. And so the mother and the son, after doing all that work, they said, you know, we could be getting paid for this. We need to do a guest ranch. So they did, and it was very successful. And they built a second dude ranch right over here that was not historic. So when they sold it to the park, that was removed.
Oh, okay.
But the historic part was written in the contract by Johnny, that they had to maintain all these buildings and keep them open for the public so they could come and see what it was like to live here 100 years ago.
Okay.
And so that's the main story. If you go over 12 structures,
Okay.
Oh, really?
just in the woods, you can't see them. They're hidden in the trees, but not behind a few trees.
Okay.
And so it's a half a mile walk on this road, and the first guest cabin that was ever built, it's 100 years old now. It was built by the son when he was 18, and you can walk through that and see what it was like to come up here
Okay.
and be a guest, and get 3 good square meals a day, have a horse to ride, fish to catch, and it cost $2 a day or $11 a week a person.
Wow. I like those prices.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, you want to go take a walk down there?
Thank you. You're welcome.
Every way it goes, it'll go around.
Well,
Here we are. Colorado River. And when you look at the picture, it shows where we are. And if you follow the river, it goes down all through Arches, Glen Canyon, Grand Canyon. This is the part that most people know about as far as Colorado River. But we're like right at the beginning of it. That is pretty awesome. Wow. Patrol water right there. Farm implements. Trout Lodge. Ellsworth Trout Lodge, 1920 to 1929. Each of the buildings, they have a date when they were actually built, which is pretty cool. Alright, let's go up and check some of these buildings out. Oh, yeah, okay, we can go in there. All right. Or they're painting in there, or doing something. Yeah, people are working in here. Rose.
Are you ready? Yeah. 1, 2. Here you go.
Thank you very much. Do you guys need to take pictures together?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
They didn't have that. And then more importantly, he didn't know exactly how to build things.
Right.
So that essentially beam isn't holding up anything at all.
Hey, but that's
And
right, he
there's
tried.
probably more nails than you really want. Okay, but again, it's been here for 100 years, so he did okay.
That's pretty cool.
That
huh?
is.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very okay.
Thank you very much. Better than
Look at that.
It's all over the back.
Yeah, yeah, those two beams, well, three beams, really.
Wow.
Built in 1921. Wow.
How did you get all those things?
I'm not gonna sure how everything's gonna come out, but this is cabin back with all original stuff from 1921. Good stove. Yeah, floor is definitely not even. Yeah, right. Okay. Look at the old springs in the bed.
We had all the comforts of home except for water and electricity. Okay, but they did have an outhouse right down the hill.
Okay, well, you got the essentials then.
Yeah.
And then you got your pot for the nighttime.
Okay.
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 Oh, wow. And there is the old outhouse. Right there. And you had a view. You could sit on the porch with a view. Very, very cool. Okay. Let's take a closer look at the Zhao house. You can check in historic stuff. Oh, you had a view. Why don't you go to the bathroom? And that's it. Huh.
The bathroom not in the house, it's actually outside the house.
It's an outhouse, yeah.
So it's for different cabins. Cabin got one.
哦，底下还有梁嘞，再看，这个房子底下可以可以。
Johnny Holsworth. And it was the first cabin he ever built, so some of it is not exactly what you would expect. That beam is holding up nothing. Okay, but it does look good.
You can't see it. Side.
Electricity or any water, pulled their water out of the stream over here. They needed the place to make
This is an old wagon.
took a correspondence course. Okay, got a book, read about how to do things. Okay, he got certified to be a taxidermist. So that mule deer in the back is actually his. All right.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, he did the whole thing?
He did the whole, essentially the whole animal, as well as heads, as well as antlers. Some of those antlers, I think, are essentially the red deer, so I'm not saying I think it's local. But again, this is one of the things they did to try to make a living. Now, people came up here to hunt and fish, so he had a steady supply of clients.
Right.
And my understanding, the way it worked, is that he would get the specimen in the first year, and then the second year he'd give it back to them when they came back for another visit.
Ah.
Okay?
Right.
And so,
Process from
essentially, a lot of people did come back year after year after year.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So they also trapped. So you see some pelts in there. Okay. He probably did his own leather work on the saddles. They were self-sufficient, but they also were making money through taxidermy
Right.
and selling pelts. Okay. So they're doing other things to make a living up here. Another thing they did to make a living up here was go down to Grand Lake and cut ice. Okay, and so they didn't have electricity. They needed ice in their ice boxes. Okay, so they basically sold some of the ice down valley, and they brought the rest of it up here.
So this is what a mountain looks like when you have your fires. It literally scars them. Look at that. How sad it is to see that. That was going to take years for it to come back. See, on this side too, you can see it's all been burnt. It will come back though. That's the beauty of
It's already starting to.
yeah, that's the beauty of it.
You can tell it's recent.
Yeah. It burns it, actually helps put some minerals back into the soil. That's why it's not unusual to see green where there's a fire. Where there's been a fire. We are in Grand Lake area. There's actually 3 lakes in this area. Grand Lake, Shadow Lake, and then Granby, which is further down. So
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in Fraser, Colorado.
Turn right on Zarek Street, then
getting
take the
closer
first
to the
right.
ski area.
Must be
Turn right on Byers Avenue, then take the first right.
Gondolas moving.
Yeah.
Where are we? I have no idea. This is-
I assume that's still Winter Park. Alpine Ski Shop. Yeah, Winter Park. This is Winter Park ski area. The gondolas are operating. Very cool. I've heard about this ski area a long time ago. Ah, they got a slide that goes down. That's
That's why it's running.
yeah, pretty cool. And there's some more of the slopes. Alright, we are going to be hiking the Cub Lake Trail today. We were going to hike a different trail, but the place is crazy. Amount of people. There's a Fern Lake trailhead, and this is where we're hiking today. We figure this will give us a chance to see a different part of the park, and this is where we're We are. Okay. So we're gonna hike down here to here. We might go in and try to make a loop. So we'll see. See how we feel. Another beautiful day. There's the mountains, you know, it's like no matter where you're at, you get views. It's pretty awesome. Of course, all these trails dogs are not allowed, first off, because there's a lot of wildlife in this area. So, Cub Lake. Cub Lake is 2.3 miles. Very pretty area. It's like, I'm trying to think of other words to describe this place, but we just saw a little baby snake. It was pretty quick. I think he was just out sunning himself on the trail. A little gardener snake. Or a lot of people, if it's a bigger one, they're called rat snakes, not poisonous. It's a little tricky filming because you really got to watch where you're walking. But, you know, the trail's definitely visible. You know you're on the trail. Just a lot of rocks, roots. Oh, look at the bottom of that tree. A lot of these places have had a forest fire at one time or another. There's visible signs everywhere. where we drove through yesterday. It was like whole area was burnt. It's crazy. But the good news is these areas will bounce back and become alive again. It's animal bone.
Oh, wow. Where do you suppose that goes to?
I don't know. It's a spine. Huh. Interesting.
You give me that water.
Yeah. Here you go. Oh, so this we're kind of in a lower altitude, but we're more of an alpine setting. But you're still that mountain is called Steep Mountain. And we're about a mile from the lake. Came across a nice little pond. Here, last year burn. There's stuff growing in there now. And here we are, Cub Lake. Looks pretty dried out though. I'm sure it's probably much higher than that. Don't get too close to it. It's so sad seeing the burn area, but it is coming back. That's the good news. Look at this. It's like, I'm glad we decided to come and do this trail. The other trails would have been so crowded. I'm gonna have to change my battery pretty soon. Wow, this is pretty. Look at this. You see the glacier up at the top? Even with the area being burnt, still, it's just awesome. seeing this. Alright. Look at this tree. Whew. See, there is life after a burn. Look at these wildflowers popping up. Nutrients get put in the ground, feed the animals. And we're heading down there. There's the pool. And then the trail is right there that we're going to take to go back. Beautiful hike though. Look at it. And man, the work that they do. Trails, this part of the trails kind of reminds us of being home in New Hampshire. A little spring, water. Oh man, that is pretty, that is so cool. Alright, we're at the next trail intersection. Yeah. 1.7 miles to go before. No, we're good. We're at 1.7 miles to the parking lot, and then we gotta walk to the car. Oh, good. Right? Alright, here we are. We're heading back towards the parking lot. We probably got about 2 miles to go before we get close to our car. But this, I think this is going to be a pretty easy hike. Definitely got to see a different side of the park. There's a river down there. Flowing pretty good there. It's like crazy. Look at that. Yeah, we get to walk right through here. of hard filming and walking because, oh wow. Look at this. Whoa. Huh?
You nuts?
It is. It's like, wow. We're not too far from the parking lot. Getting closer. Ah, so beautiful. Perfect day to do this. And we've been kind of following these cliffs. So we took the Cub Lake Trail, and we did end up making the complete loop. So we're back at the Fern Lake parking lot. Now we gotta walk down the road to our truck.
How long is this road? Say a mile?
About a mile, yeah. All right. So how many miles did you say we did?
5.4.
Okay, so we did
Oh,
5.4 miles. We are on the Peak to Peak Drive. Yeah, that's Long Peak. Yeah. That looks like the glaciers from the campground. And then this is Enos Mills, the Rocky Mountain National Park, father of the Rocky Mountain National Park, internationally known as naturalist, author, lecturer, nature guide, homesteaded on this site in 1885. Ah, so he lived here in 1885. Now, it really doesn't look like there's anything left of the home site. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like there might be a structure in there, but okay, let's move on. St. Catherine's Chapel. It is very cool. Now I can see why they call it Boulder Canyon.
And you'll see how your unique kitchen and bath fantasies become your reality. Come on, folks, get her done. Listen for all kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, and even replacement windows and doors.
We're at Boulder Falls. Only like a tenth of a mile, not even. there's a whole bunch of them.
They're
Holy
just running around.
yeah. Pretty cool. Alright, we are getting ready to leave Rocky Mountain National Park. Kinda sad. Oh, I love this place. The last views. The moon there. You can see it. Another beautiful day. We are campers ready to go. Rusty's in it. We're gonna go dump and hit the road. We have about a 6-hour drive to Gunnison. I miss this. So here we go. Cool. And the venture, our last and final stop here in Colorado. We'll be in Gunnison for about 5 days. And then take the long journey home. It's been a remarkable vacation so far, and we'll keep you guys posted. Alright? We're on the road again.